After sending my grandson off to study abroad, I fell seriously ill. On my deathbed, I finally saw my husband, who spent most of his time in the laboratory. Old man, he pushed my hand away, his expression cold. The time machine is about to succeed. I'll soon be able to go see her. Why did you have to call me back at this critical moment? You've monopolized me for a lifetime. Isn't that enough? After my death, Julie and Joe used grief as an excuse to hold a simple funeral and return to the laboratory that same night. On the day the time machine was successfully developed, Julie and Joe wept bitterly. He couldn't wait to lie down in it, ending this lifetime's absurd marriage to pursue a long, overdue, deep affection. When he opened his eyes again, he had actually returned to the past. This time, I want to live for myself. The day Julie and Joe returned from the laboratory to visit me happened to be my 73rd birthday. His hair now gray, he carried a cake in one hand and held flowers in the other. Everyone knew he was a renowned physics professor. Doctors and nurses sighed with admiration, saying, "Childhood sweethearts supporting each other till old age. This is the true meaning of marriage." But they didn't know that behind closed doors, Julie and Joe lit a candle and made a wish right in front of me without any hesitation. "Junyi, for the sake of our many years of marriage, I hope you die quickly and cleanly, without dragging it out for 10 or 15 days and making things difficult for me." For her, I went through great hardships to develop a time machine. Spending this lifetime with you was a mistake, and I want to correct that wrong. You should be able to understand, right? After all, Sylvia Chung was such a beautiful yet short-lived woman. Sylvia Chung. It's been so long, I had almost forgotten that name. She was Julie and Joe's neighbor, and they grew up together as childhood sweethearts. Later, they were both sent to the countryside in our village, transforming from pen holders into farmers, which led them to go their separate ways. Not long after Julie and Joe and I got married, they took the same college entrance exam. Sylvia Chung later studied abroad, but died in an accident in a foreign land. I never imagined Julie and Joe would love her for his entire life. Heartbroken to the core, yet suddenly enlightened. No wonder Julie and Joe always stayed in the lab instead of coming home, neglected the children, and was always hesitant and reluctant even when sharing a bed with me. All the past events revealed themselves before my death, making me appear foolish and ridiculous. I was so furious I nearly had a heart attack, struggling desperately from the bed and smashing the cake right in his face. Julie and Joe shook his head and sighed. "Jun Shun, when will you ever learn to be less savage and crude and become gentle and sensible like Shi Yuan?" He blew out the candles, extinguishing the light in my eyes. I also died on the night the candles burned out. I don't know how the time machine was set, but Julie and Joe only went back to before we were married. Back then, when the Zhou family was sent down to live with us, my parents took pity on them and often helped with farm work. The Zhou family thought they would never return to the city. And with Mr. Zhou's passing, they feared Julian would grow too old. So they simply arranged a marriage alliance with our family. Thus, this man, in order to break off the engagement, didn't hesitate to tarnish his own reputation, orchestrating a clever play of mistaken identity. Under the dim light, the young Julian Zhou explained to me, "June, it was too dark at the time. I couldn't see clearly, so I mistook her for you. Oh, you rascal, no matter how dark it gets, you can't act like a scoundrel. Don't you realize this puts both women in an awkward position?" Yes, you're right. It's all my fault. I was despicable. June, I've wronged you. You can hit me or scold me as you wish. But Sylvia, just then, Sylvia Chang's sobbing came from next door. How can I go on living? He touched me. He held me. How can I ever show my face again? I might as well hang myself with a rope. Hearing this, Jun Shun's eyes immediately filled with deep concern, and she urgently grabbed my hand, forgetting for a moment that I was the person she despised most. "June, you have the softest heart. How could you bear to see a young woman take her own life for nothing? After all, it's still a human life." Even though I had stopped breathing, the resentment of being deceived for a lifetime refused to die with me. I wanted to confront him too. What about me? Was I just supposed to accept wasting my entire life on him for nothing? I can't accept this. I refuse to accept this 50-year marriage built on deception, unwilling to bear the burden of raising 3 children day and night to support his career until I fell ill, only to be blamed at death's door for monopolizing his life and causing his beloved to rest unhappily in the grave. If I had a choice, I would never have married Julian Zhou. This engagement must be called off, but I couldn't be the one to say it. Forcing myself to stay calm, I asked, "So, what do you plan to do?" Perhaps my calmness and directness caught him off guard. Julian paused, carefully choosing his words. "Only our families know about our engagement. Calling it off won't harm your reputation in the future. But if I don't take responsibility for her, and something happens, both you and I would live with guilt for the rest of our lives." In the moonlight, I saw the determination in Julian's eyes to marry Sylvia Chung. "You're innocent, and so is she. That's why, June, I have to marry her." "I disagree." The door suddenly swung open. It was Mrs. Zhou. Julian glared at me with a dark expression. "June Shen, did you call my mother here? You know she's not well. If anything happens to her, could you bear the responsibility?" Mrs. Zhou lashed out at Julian Zhou. "When our family was sent to the countryside, who was it that helped us repeatedly? Your father held a pen all his life. If it weren't for Brother Shen, he would have suffered countless hardships. Son, now that your father has passed, we're just a widow and her child, weak and isolated. Why can't you see clearly? Do you really want people to point fingers at our family? I'll make it clear today. You and Junyi are a match made in heaven, a perfect union arranged by our 2 families." Mrs. Zhou wiped away her tears, vowing, "If Sylvia Chung hangs herself, I'll repay her with my life tomorrow. I'll accompany her on the road to the underworld." Julian Zhou's breathing grew rapid, and those around rushed to console him. At that moment, Sylvia Chung ran out from next door, weeping. "He's loyal and righteous, wanting to repay a debt. She's virtuous and kind, waiting to marry her ideal man. But what about me? I've lost both my parents. Am I just meant to be bullied and harassed by ruffians at night? Since no one cares whether I live or die, I'll charge him with public indecency. Let him be locked up for 10 or 8 years. Or better yet, executed by firing squad. Don't stop me. Let me go." Everyone was stunned. Even Mrs. Zhou hesitated and looked at me. "June, oh dear, look at this mess." Despite the old lady's righteous stance, she still cared deeply for her son. After marriage, she never stopped making things difficult for me, and when times normalized, she looked down on me for being uneducated. Julian Zhou often stayed in the lab, and she blamed me for being inconsiderate and driving her son to neglect his family. I pretended to be hurt and averted my gaze. Mrs. Zhou forced an awkward smile and redirected her anger towards Sylvia Chung. In the end, Julian Zhou watched as his mother and the woman he loved clashed. While I stood by as a spectator, he clenched his fists, knelt before me with a thud, and pleaded, "June, please have mercy. All the fault is mine. If you agree to call off the engagement, I'll give you all my work, points every month. When you find someone you truly love, I'll..." Surprisingly, I replied, "Fine, I agree." Julian Zhou was taken aback, seemingly unable to believe I'd consent so readily. "What scheme are you plotting? How could you give up on me so easily?" Did he still think I was the same June Shen who once loved him? I said word by word, "Give her the person, give me the work, points." His deep gaze held self-mockery as he smiled. "So it's for money. I never realized you were this kind of person before. Let him say whatever he wants." Having been reborn, I already had plans in mind. I couldn't live as aimlessly as I did in my previous life. There was still a year and a half until the college entrance exam would be restored. I needed to study, to take the exam. If by chance I passed, I'd need money for expenses and food. So I'd start saving slowly from Julian Zhou now. Brother Julian. I never thought Junshin would agree so easily. While herding cattle on the hillside, I looked up and saw the 2 of them leaning against the riverbank. Julian Zhou tucked a wild chrysanthemum behind Sylvia Cheng's ear. At least she knows what's good for her. If she kept making trouble, I'd report that her family was hiding contraband and make sure her whole family faced criticism. Sylvia Cheng sighed. Jun Shun is a pitiful woman too, but I don't regret taking you from her. No, it's not your fault. Julian Zhou held Sylvia tightly. I'm sorry. It's my fault. You suffered because of what happened yesterday. Sylvia Cheng shook her head with pursed lips. Brother Julian, for you, I'm willing to give everything, even if it means becoming a shrew, like Jun Shen. I wasn't brave enough back then, letting you go to her. If you hadn't confessed to me this time, I would never have known how deep your feelings for me were. I'm clearly so timid and cowardly, not worthy of you spending your thoughts on me. Upon hearing this, Julian Zhou's eyes reddened. He kissed Sylvia's forehead. Silly girl, you don't understand how precious you are in my heart. In this lifetime, I'll love you with all my life. Sylvia laughed through her tears. Having your word is enough for me. Under the witness of the autumn wind, the two kissed as if inseparable. Julian Zhou soon married Sylvia Cheng. The new house was built on the land next door that my father secured with 2 pounds of meat through connections when we were engaged. The Zhou family being small in number, building the house relied entirely on our Shen family. Now, with the mistress changed, the sounds of gongs, drums, and festive firecrackers came from the front door. Yet not a single person from the Shen family attended the wedding banquet. My father cursed angrily. What do you mean mistaken identity? I think he did it on purpose. That kid is an ungrateful wretch. I must have been blind. The wedding procession passed by the door. Classic cruiser bikes, sewing machines, radios, thermos bottles. The Zhou family had no money. These were probably obtained through Julian Zhou's black marketeering. Julian Zhou wore a mandarin collar suit, standing tall and straight, while Sylvia Cheng held his arm, slender and elegant with gentle grace. Both wore happy smiles as they handed out white rabbit candy to the villagers gathered around. Thank you. We appreciate everyone coming to our wedding. I seem to see my previous life's cold, cheerless wedding banquet. No candy, no classic cruiser bikes or sewing machines. Just 28 yuan in bride price that married me into the Zhou family. During the wedding ceremony, Julian Zhou didn't even seem to smile. I lowered my eyes and said quietly, a blessed woman doesn't marry into an unblessed family. Not marrying Julian Zhou in this lifetime. What a relief. In my previous life, after the Zhou family's political rehabilitation and return to the city, Julian Zhou took the college entrance exam and got into Capital University. I stayed in the production team, caring for our 2-year-old son and sending him money every month. Later, he became a physics professor, while I, a housewife, remained utterly ordinary. Everyone said that marrying Julian Zhou was like boarding a fast ship to wealth and status. As the wife of a research scientist, I spent my life tending to my mother-in-law and raising children. My entire world confined to 100-square-meter home. Everyone praised my thoughtfulness and virtue, but who truly respected me? After a lifetime of mutual support, I only realized at death's door that Julian Zhou looked down on me too. Outside, firecrackers exploded incessantly into the night as if they cost nothing. My father said bitterly, from now on, our Shen family and the Zhou family will have nothing to do with each other. No one is allowed to help them with any work. My mother snarled angrily, I'm not stupid. He's no longer my son-in-law. They both instinctively glanced at me, but I just smiled indifferently. Then, my mother pointed into the distance. Look, so bright, old Shen, hurry and catch it for our daughter. My father flailed about for a while before placing the glowing firefly on my fingertip. Do you like it, my girl? At that moment, my heart suddenly grew exceptionally calm. Jun Shen, in this lifetime, take good care of your parents and live for yourself. When the rice harvest season arrived, all the villagers were busy working in the fields. Back then, my father had given the neighboring field to the Zhou family. No need to clear new land, and easy to cultivate. So every day when I went to the fields, I would see Julian Zhou working hard. and Sylvia Chung, bringing him meals in a small bamboo basket. Julian Zhou glanced at me almost imperceptibly. Then he took the handkerchief Sylvia handed him to wipe his face, saying gently, "Don't come next time. The wind is strong, and you're not in good health. Be careful not to catch a chill." "It's fine. I enjoy bringing you food." In the evenings, the two would stroll hand in hand, sweetly enjoying each other's company on the back hill. It seemed Julian Zhou was determined to give Sylvia all the love he had lost in his previous life. The villagers would remark, "Sent down youth Sylvia is really fortunate. Her man doesn't even let her work in the fields." What good is that? With one less person working, what will the whole family eat? Fewer work points again. No way, no way. I think you're just jealous of how deeply in love that couple is. That evening, while repairing the roof with my father, I noticed the neighboring yard, no longer as desolate as before, was now filled with flowers and plants. Julian Zhou and Sylvia Chung were making lanterns together. One was cutting paper, the other weaving bamboo, occasionally exchanging glances and smiles as beautiful as a painting. Once finished, Sylvia twirled around with the lantern, the candlelight casting a warm glow on her cheeks. Julian watered the plants, his eyes full of affection as he said, "My Sylvia is so beautiful." I suddenly fell silent. That was the 10th year of my marriage to Julian Zhou. I had finally moved beyond the dullness of a rural housewife, embracing some refinement by wearing perfume and tending to flowers. But when Julian returned, he scornfully remarked, "Instead of taking proper care of the child, you waste time on all this nonsense." It turned out he wasn't devoid of romance. He just didn't love me enough. During our worst argument, he abandoned me and our feverish son, insisting on a divorce. Back then, I hadn't been exposed to the influence of modern women's ideas. Uneducated and deeply conservative in my thinking, fearing gossip from relatives and friends. With my parents gone and only an elder brother far away, I had no one to stand up for me. For the children's sake, I had no choice but to depend on my husband and endure everything. So I became cheap labor, an ordinary old woman who toiled half her life for her husband and children, ending up with a body full of ailments. In old age, I didn't even have a proper funeral arranged. What good were sons? 3 children, 2 of them in distant foreign lands. The youngest came back for a brief visit, saying hiring a caregiver would suffice. He, a grown man, couldn't handle the dirty work of nursing. He even complained, "Mom, your illness couldn't have come at a worse time. Dad's research is about to yield results. If it succeeds, the family tree would start anew from this achievement." It just goes to show that marriage, children, and raising sons for old age support are all nonsense. That's why my goal in this life is to study and learn, endure the strange looks, stay healthy enough to reach the new era, and become a free, spirited old lady. That noon, returning from the fields, I made a detour to the brigade to borrow middle and high school textbooks. As I stepped out, I saw Julian Zhou leaning against the earthen wall, holding a bag. "Jun Shun, why have you been avoiding me so much lately?" I tried to dodge past him. He directly reached out to block my way, his gaze sweeping over the book in my hand. "You want to participate?" Noticing my blank stare, he smirked. "What? Even an illiterate wants to study hard now?" "Indeed, someone like you should study hard, so you don't spend your whole life just revolving around men." I asked calmly, "Someone like me? Then what kind of person are you?" He always acted superior around me, as if I wasn't worthy of connecting with his soul or resonating with his thoughts. Back when I organized his study, he'd get angry. "Who told you to touch these? Can you even understand them? Don't you dare sell my life's work as scrap." If I casually asked if he was busy today, he'd reply, "Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. Do you know anything about physics?" Every word became indelible scars in our marriage. Eventually, I stopped touching his things, stopped asking questions. Thinking of this, I smiled. A scoundrel. Julian Zhou's face instantly darkened. Given his temperament, he would normally have turned and left, but he didn't. Instead, he handed me the bag. I bought this yesterday when I went into town. Take it back for Uncle and Aunt Shin to try. It's a small token of my appreciation." Seeing that I wouldn't take it, he sighed to himself. "I haven't earned many points recently. Just take it for now, and later I'll." An aunt carrying a hoe passed by and clicked her tongue. "Look at this. Even after getting married, he still remembers to repay kindness. What a good boy. No wonder he treats his wife so well too." Speaking of which, the Shin family is really putting on airs. The man's married and needs to support his family now, yet they're still greedy for this bit of food. Truly shameful. I finally understood why he chose this busy location. Probably Julian hadn't managed to get any money recently, and with my family not going to help, relying only on him and Mrs. Zhou to work, the household had no points, and was struggling to make ends meet. Was he putting on this show to make me take back the compensation? Women like us in the countryside fear gossip the most, especially when it's about an engagement being called off. The rumors at the village entrance alone could drown a woman, so he was certain I value my reputation and wouldn't dare speak the truth. I decided to be utterly unreasonable, planting my hands on my hips and shouting, "Nonsense. This is clearly compensation promised because Julian Zhou sneaked into Sylvia Cheng's bed in the middle of the night and wanted to cancel our engagement." Everyone's eyes widened in shock. Julian Zhou gritted his teeth. "Jun Shun, you're completely unreasonable and utterly shameless. I must have been blind back then." "Bah, I'm the one who was blind. Our whole family was blind to treat you with such sincerity." Soon, the entire village knew that Julian Zhou had abandoned me and was involved with Sylvia Chung. By winter, the busy farming season finally slowed down. I could finally focus on my studies properly, often seeking guidance from an elderly scholar. My father would watch me studying so late every day, shaking his head and sighing, "You'll ruin your eyesight like this. When spring comes, I'll find you a good match. Definitely 1,000 times better than that ungrateful Zhou family." I said very seriously, "Dad, I'm not studying because of Julian Zhou. Knowledge will benefit me throughout my life. I don't want to grow old remaining ignorant and blind to the world." My mother's eyes flickered, as if recalling something, then she thumped her chest. "Though I can't read a single word, I support my daughter." "All right, I support you too." Just as we were speaking, someone suddenly started banging on the door. "Grandpa Shen, my wife has fainted. Please come take a look." My grandfather was the village doctor. When Julian Zhou's father was seriously ill, it was my grandfather who went up the mountain to gather herbs, broke his leg, and still desperately tried to bring back the life-saving medicine. With this bond between our families, Julian Zhou could still marry Sylvia Chung. How could my parents not feel heartbroken? They exchanged a glance. "We won't go. If she dies, it's none of our business." Seeing no response, Julian Zhou simply knelt at the doorstep, kneeling like that in the dead of winter, and making such a scene. All the neighbors came out to watch. Back when Julian Zhou and Sylvia Chen got involved, breaking off our engagement, it had stirred up public outrage for quite some time, but with a life at stake. A few people chimed in to persuade. "Old Shin, no matter how deep the grudge, just go check on her, won't you?" Just like that. My grandpa was woken up too, and he threw on some clothes before heading over. He returned within 10 minutes, saying Sylvia Chung was 2 months pregnant. The couple had been careless at night, leading to bleeding. Sylvia, being frail, fainted outright. The bleeding stopped now, but we'll have to wait until tomorrow's hospital check to know about the baby. Oh my goodness. Why talk about such things in front of a child? My grandma shooed them away. I pretended not to understand and kept reading, but deep down, I found it very strange. It's February now, and in 8 months, the announcement about the college entrance exam resuming will come, with Sylvia pregnant and in poor health. How would she have the time and energy to study? Her due date might even coincide with the exam month. Even if Sylvia wanted the baby, didn't Julian Zhou find excuses to avoid pregnancy and urge her to study with him? Preparing for the college entrance exam, Sylvia was a very proud person. In her past life, her parents didn't survive the turbulent times. and she became a sent down youth in the countryside. The college entrance exam was her only chance to change her fate. So she wanted to take the college entrance exam more than anyone else. Could it be that after marrying Julian Zhou, she lost this pride and love? There was another possibility. Julian Zhou hadn't revealed any news at all. Not long after, I got the answer. Sylvia Chung was in poor condition and had been hospitalized. Coincidentally, my great-uncle was seriously ill, so our family went to visit him. While passing by a hospital room, I saw Sylvia Chung fast asleep. Beside her, Julian Zhou looked troubled. "Sylvia, I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to leave me, and I don't want you to take the college entrance exam, so I had to use having a child to keep you tied down. But I never expected things to turn out this way. It's my fault, and I won't let you suffer anymore." I froze for a moment, suddenly finding Julian Zhou's face repulsive at that instant. How ridiculous. To bind someone in the name of love. Julian Zhou, do you truly love Sylvia Chung? Or is it just the restlessness of not being able to have her? I really wish Sylvia Chung was awake, so she could hear the hypocrite's confession. Unfortunately, Julian Zhou only dared to feign remorse when she was asleep. As we stepped out, we bumped into Julian Zhou returning with hot water in the corridor. "Mrs. Zhou grumbled from behind. How long has this been going on? Can she be discharged or not? Your wife's health is too fragile, constantly in and out of the hospital. If she keeps getting sick, our savings will be drained, and we won't have enough food to last until spring." Julian Zhou, looking weary, replied impatiently, "Mom, Sylvia and the baby aren't well enough to leave. Don't you want to hold your grandson?" Noticing us, Mrs. Zhou offered an awkward smile. We hadn't gone far when a commotion erupted behind us. Mrs. Zhou began shouting, "Sylvia Chung, how dare you hit my son? You little hussy. Do you even know he cycled for 2 hours in the snow to get you to the hospital? He collapsed upon arrival but still looked after you. Why can't you be grateful? If it weren't for marrying you back then, we wouldn't have offended the Shin family and drained our family savings. While other women work in the fields, you refuse to lift a finger, always dressing provocatively. We've spoiled you rotten, and now you dare to hit your husband. That's enough. Mom, this is a hospital. Let Sylvia rest properly first." Julian Zhou, you've really grown some nerve, defending this little hussy against your own mother. What sin have I committed to deserve this? Mrs. Zhou wept bitterly, recounting all the conflicts between the widow and her daughter-in-law over the past 6 months. The onlookers listened with great interest, thinking, indeed, one should marry a virtuous woman. With the slap mark still visible on his face, Julian could barely hold his head up. "Mom, could you please stop making a scene? When Sylvia gets better, I'll make sure she apologizes to you, all right?" "Why should I apologize? What have I done wrong?" Through the crowd, I saw Sylvia Cheng's pale face, her small, delicate features barely visible beneath the heavy winter coat, tears falling like pearls. Ever since I married into this family, she's never looked at me with any favor. If it weren't for your carelessness this time, would I have ended up in the hospital? The doctor said if we'd arrived any later, we could have lost the baby. As the father, shouldn't you take responsibility? Julian, I know you only hit me in a moment of anger, but what about your mother's attitude? She exposed my shortcomings in front of everyone, complaining that I'm not a good enough daughter-in-law, making me a laughingstock. Hearing Sylvia Chung say this, Julian Zhou indeed felt guilty. "I'm sorry, it's my fault. I was wrong to say those things." Only then did Sylvia Cheng's tears turn to a smile as she leaned her head against his. The two quickly reconciled as if nothing had happened, no matter what had happened before. At least in that moment, I truly admired Sylvia Chung. If only I had half her courage to handle Julian Zhou, I wouldn't have been tormented my whole life. Soon a nurse arrived and shooed away the onlookers. Mrs. Zhou stood there, appearing utterly superfluous and bitter. Finally, she stamped her foot, bewitched. This is truly a curse. Mrs. Zhou had been feisty all her life and absolutely couldn't tolerate anyone lording it over her. She abandoned all pretense of dignity and sighed to everyone she met. It was springtime, the busiest season for farming. When I brought food to my parents, I saw everyone working while listening to Mrs. Zhou chatter animatedly. She gets hungry in the middle of the night and wants chicken soup. So she orders White Xiao to kill a chicken. We only had one laying hen, and she just had it killed like that. In the dead of winter, she wants to build a snowman in the yard. For heaven's sake. Then, when she catches a cold, she blames us for not taking good care of her. Even while pregnant, she insisted on reading by oil lamp. Does she think she's some scholar wielding a brush? Since she came to the countryside, she should just settle down and be a proper farm woman. Sigh. Have you ever heard of a man serving a woman? Does being pregnant mean she can't work? When I was pregnant, I still served his father while he studied and wrote. Look how wretched my fate is. I've brought home a golden burden. Mom, could you please stop? She. Mrs. Zhou stood with hands on her hips. Which word of mine was wrong? Asked these aunties here. Who's being unreasonable? Her or me? I'm only doing this for your own good. For the good of this family. That's right, Julian. Go home and talk some sense into your wife. Stop letting her make a scene here. The village women of this era naturally sided with Mrs. Zhou. They advised earnestly. Between a wife and a mother, of course you should be filial to your mother, especially since she's a widow who raised you alone. Your mother has had it hard. How can you blame her? Julian Zhou stood in the bleak wind, falling completely silent. Then an ill-timed sound reached his ears. Yum, my daughter's dumplings are still the best. Sylvia Chung hadn't brought him meals for quite some time now. Instead, after finishing farm work, he had to rush to the river to catch fish. The doctor said she was too thin and needed nourishment. His cooking skills were poor. The fish he prepared was so fishy that Sylvia vomited bile after just one bite. Perhaps due to pregnancy mood swings, she suddenly lashed out, scolding Mrs. Zhou for being old yet still bickering with her daughter-in-law, and berating him for being useless at even cooking a proper meal. After the outburst, she hugged him and cried, saying she didn't mean it and was just feeling unwell. He remained silent, just utterly drained by it all. In that momentary daze, he suddenly felt the fragrant dumplings in the field bore an uncanny resemblance to the taste from his memory. His memory traveled back, through time, to many years ago. He used to look down on Junshin, illiterate, feisty as a village woman, yet robust in health. Even during pregnancy, she never cried or complained, and her cooking was exceptional. Take making dumplings, for instance. He disliked fillings like cabbage, chives, pickled vegetables, or shepherd's purse. But somehow Junshin found a recipe, corn mixed with a pound of pork, creating corn dumplings dipped in a sweet, sour, and spicy sauce. He could devour 50 of them in one go. Having spent a lifetime together, it seemed only the weight of that bowl of dumplings remained vivid in his memory. When it was time for dinner, Julian Zhou put on his straw hat and hunched his shoulders as he headed back. It seemed there was no longer any trace of a spirited young man from his past life. My mother sighed. When he insisted on marrying Sylvia Chung, he should have expected this to happen. Unable to handle the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship, he could only try to placate one and comfort the other. Over time, the balance was bound to tip. I listened unmoved, finding it all rather amusing. Julian Zhou hadn't considered any of this. In this life, he only wanted to reunite with Sylvia Chung and grow old together. Now that he was doing all this for Sylvia Chung, he should get a taste of how to resolve conflicts between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Back when the college entrance exam was reinstated, I was pregnant and still did Julian Zhou's laundry and cooking. As for him, all he had to do was burn the midnight oil studying. I collapsed from exhaustion, with no money for the hospital, lying in bed to recuperate as the blood from my pregnancy soaked the sheets, emitting a nauseating stench. Thinking I was going to die, I cried and called out for Julian Zhou. Mrs. Zhou stopped me. Silly girl, just endure a little longer. Don't disturb Julian. Once he passes the exam, life will be better for you and your child. Endure a little longer. I've heard these words far too many times. In this era, a woman's greatest honor was to serve her husband without being a burden, respect her mother, in law, manage their relationship well, and earn praise for being virtuous and filial. Having returned from a modern time and experienced a marriage that others envy but was actually a mess, I suddenly realized with sadness, as long as a woman is willing to endure hardship, there will be endless hardships to endure. I don't envy Sylvia's clarity, nor do I resent Julian for not loving me. On the contrary, I feel fortunate that even though I chose the wrong path in an ignorant time, fate has given me a second chance. With that thought, I flipped open the calendar and crossed off another day. There were still 5 months left until the college entrance exam. How their lives turned out in this lifetime had nothing to do with me anymore. Days passed one after another, and soon, the government officially announced the reinstatement of the college entrance exam. This decision was met with nationwide celebration. The fields buzzed with excitement as the sent down youth finally glimpsed their chance to change their fate. I dashed to the ridge, joyfully announcing to my parents, "Mom, Dad, I'm signing up for the college entrance exam." Both were thrilled. "Wonderful, go for it, dear. Our Shin family has never had a scholar before." On the way back, Julian Zhou somehow ended up walking beside me. "Jun Shun, so you were studying all along to take the exam?" I ignored him, but he continued, "I never knew you had such grand ambitions. I thought you were content being an ordinary housewife." After a pause, he added, "Changing your life path this time around isn't a bad idea. So you're also feigning ignorance." I quickened my pace, as if he hadn't noticed. Jun Shin called after me, "Want me to highlight the key points for you?" "For old time's sake, no need." I broke into a run, finally grasping what he'd left unsaid, as if I'd want that. Just as I reached the village entrance, I brushed past Sylvia Chung, who was approaching with her prominent baby bump. "Julian Zhou, why did you burn my textbooks? Do you not want me to take the college entrance exam?" Julian Zhou explained, "Sylvia, listen to me. You're not in good health now, and with the pregnancy, if anything were to happen, Sylvia Chung, regardless of whether you agree or not, I must take the college entrance exam." The two of them started arguing right at the village entrance. Soon after, Mrs. Zhou hurried over and joined the fray. "I don't agree either. If you get into college, who's going to take care of the child? Who's going to do the farm work? Are you expecting me to handle it all by myself? Normally, I'd let your antics slide, but this is absolutely unacceptable. Stop making a scene here. How many women in this village prioritize their husbands and sons over taking exams? You're just selfish and lack proper awareness." Sylvia Chung, "Let Julian focus on his studies now. Once he passes the exam, we won't go hungry. We can raise the child together here in the countryside and get by just fine." Sylvia Chung didn't argue with Mrs. Zhou further, just looked at Julian Zhou with tears in her eyes. Julian Zhou averted his gaze and mumbled, "Sylvia, my mom is right. I'm not saying you." With a sharp slap, Sylvia Chung cried out in anguish, "You know exactly what my family situation is, how my parents died. You know how hard I've struggled all these years alone. I can't farm, and I don't want to stay in the countryside forever. Besides the college entrance exam, what other path do I have?" Julian Zhou held her shoulders, trying to calm her down. "Listen to me. I'm not stopping you from studying. Wait until I pass the exam, then you can come live with me in the city. You can grow flowers, take care of our child. I want to protect you for the rest of your life. All right?" "No." Julian Zhou was deeply disappointed. "Sylvia, how have you become like this? You promised to stay with me forever, through thick and thin. Now you cause such a scene over this so-called college entrance exam." Sylvia Cheng's belly was already quite large. Hearing this, she cried even more bitterly, bending over as if to vomit. Mrs. Zhou was startled and backed away quickly. "Oh dear, don't you go blaming me again." "Sylvia, what's wrong?" Sylvia Chung leaned on Julian Zhou, her eyes red-rimmed. "Julian, I'm begging you, please let me take the exam, okay?" Finally, Julian Zhou reluctantly agreed. "All right then, Once you and the baby are stable, we'll study properly and take the college entrance exam together when the time comes. Mrs. Joe sneered. See? This is all because you've spoiled her into not knowing her place. If you had married Comrade Shin back then, we wouldn't have all these troubles. But I never expected Julian Joe could be so shameless. On the day of the college entrance exam, he actually drugged Sylvia Chung and locked her in a room. Sylvia Chung was awakened by the pain of fetal movement. With Mrs. Joe also absent, she smashed the lock with a brick, rushed to our house, and knelt before my mother. My parents couldn't let anything happen to her in our home, so they transported her to the hospital on their bicycles. Sylvia Chung had a difficult labor. The baby had been confined for too long, and both mother and child were in poor condition. Sylvia Chung cried, begging to see Julian Joe. Mrs. Joe absolutely refused. No, Julian is taking his exam right now. No one can disturb him. Sylvia Chung threatened to kill herself, and the two of them remained deadlocked. In the end, the Women's Federation comrades still went to the examination site. Julian Joe and I were in the same examination hall. With half an hour left until the exam ended, Julian Joe gritted his teeth. Just 2 more problems to go after I finish these. He muttered to himself, I must achieve good results to give Sylvia a better life. After finishing, Julian was drenched in sweat, hastily handed in his paper, and rushed out. When he arrived at the hospital, Sylvia Chung had already given birth to the child. She grabbed a thermos of hot water and threw it at him, shouting with all her might, Julian Joe, why did you come back? Why did you change my fate? Back when you married Junshen, I went to you and asked you to call off the wedding. What did you say? You said it would bring shame and scorn upon the Zhou family. If it became public, it would harm your future prospects and affect your family's chance to return to the city. So, I left you. Julian Zhou, you're nothing but a coward, a selfish bastard. I don't give a damn about you inventing a time machine to come back. Julian Zhou, that's not how it is. I regretted it. I was afraid of losing you, afraid something might happen to you if you went abroad on a government scholarship, so I didn't want you to. Sylvia Chung spat at him fiercely. You've ruined my entire life. How dare you still make such high-sounding excuses? My father died so tragically, yet he remained standing until the end. I'd rather die than live in such humiliation. Julian Zhou's face turned pale. Sylvia Chung, is being with me such an insult to you? Yes, fine. It's my fault for being blind and falling for you, for doing all those ridiculous things for you. Their argument escalated into a fierce confrontation, leaving everyone around utterly bewildered. When my mother vividly recounted the scene to me, I finally understood. So, Sylvia Chung had regained memories from her past life. Sylvia Chung left the child behind and disappeared. No one knew when she had left or where she had gone. Julian Zhou had been scalded by boiling water on his eyes and face. He only completed 1 exam subject before returning home with the child, completely broken in spirit. When I returned home, he was sitting at the doorway, holding the child who was wailing loudly. He fumbled anxiously, rocking the baby awkwardly, making the child even more uncomfortable and cry even harder as it squirmed. My heart ached for the child, so I said calmly, Stop rocking her. She's probably hungry. Julian Zhou turned to look at me in bewilderment, his left cheek severely blistered from the burn, appearing quite gruesome. My mother went to borrow some milk. Without saying a word, I turned and left. Julian Zhou suddenly called out to me, Has that bitch Sylvia Chung gone to find you? Yes. When I came out of the examination hall, Sylvia Chung, wrapped in a cotton coat, had been waiting for me the whole time. She had grown even thinner. Her eyes reddened as she suddenly knelt down before me, weeping bitterly. Junshen, I'm sorry, truly sorry. I felt somewhat at a loss. Sylvia Chung cried. We grew up together since childhood. When he confessed to me back then, I agreed without hesitation. I never imagined it would hurt you. I was wrong. I regret it. No. I helped Sylvia Chung to her feet and said earnestly, I should thank you for taking him away. freeing me from that misery. The cause and effect you're facing now are entirely the result of that selfish man's actions. You don't need to apologize to me, and don't drag me into your turmoil. All of this has nothing to do with me." She froze in shock. I said nothing more and turned to leave. Snapping back to reality, Julian Zhou urgently asked, "What did she say to you? Do you know where she went?" I neither shook my head nor nodded. Julian Zhou gritted his teeth. How dare she mess everything up and just run away? Does she think she can just leave the child with me? I've never seen such a heartless woman. How could she be fit to be a mother? The child cried even louder at his agitation. Julian Zhou buried his face in the baby's bundle. "Son, it's Dad who failed you. It's Dad who was blind, letting you be born without a mother. Your mother is a cold-hearted, selfish woman. Heavens, how did things become so absurd? I regret it. I truly regret it. I want to go back. I just found it utterly ridiculous and quickly ran off." "Are you insane? Have you lost your mind?" When the college entrance exam scores came out, they were about what I had estimated. After the admission letter arrived, I packed my bags and told my parents, I want to go familiarize myself with the learning environment first. Actually, I wanted to find ways to earn money, but that involved black marketeering, so I couldn't talk about it openly. My parents thought it over and sighed. Well, children grow up and make their own choices. It might be good for her to see the world. I thumped my chest and promised, I'll bring you to live in the city someday. Just wait and see. My parents exchanged glances and burst into hearty laughter. That evening, our whole family gathered for a hot pot dinner. Mrs. Zhou entered with Julian Zhou, holding their child, rubbing her hands awkwardly as she smiled. "Brother Shun, is the marriage arrangement from back then still valid?" Her words left the entire family stunned. If not for having gone through the broken engagement, I'd have thought time had reversed. The atmosphere grew awkward, and Mrs. Zhou nudged Julian Zhou. Only then did Julian Zhou glance at me, hesitating before murmuring, "Now that things have come to this, I finally understand who treated me best." His next words were, "Are you still willing to come back to me?" Then he laughed self-deprecatingly, "But now you've been admitted to Metropolis University, with a boundless future ahead, you probably wouldn't look twice at a countryman like me with a child." A sudden, inexplicable rage flared up inside me. This scoundrel still wanted me to take him back. I rushed up to Julian Zhou, grabbing his disheveled hair and slapping him repeatedly across the face. The baby in his arms started wailing in terror. Julian was completely stunned by the beating. I only stopped when my hands went numb from hitting him. "Dad, brother, throw him out along with the baby. The old one too. Hey, if you don't agree, just say so. Why resort to violence? I'm going to report this to the police." That pent-up anger was finally released. From now on, I'll stay away from toxic men and soar to greater heights. After enrolling at school and tasting the breeze of freedom, I finally understood how sweet it could be. I often exchanged letters with my parents. My mom mentioned that someone spread rumors about Julian Zhou arguing with his wife and killing her. But after investigation, the police found it completely untrue. However, in these times, reputation and background matter most. Coupled with my parents, as neighbors, shaking their heads at the mention of him, the authorities didn't approve Julian Zhou's application for the following year's college entrance exam. Julian Zhou remained in the countryside farming, raising his child alone, and his reputation was ruined. Later, he tried taking his son to the city to find work and started a street stall business under the pretext of the economic reform. At that time, I wasn't strong enough inside and didn't want him to have it easy. Seeing him become the physics professor from my past life, I frequently pretended to be Sylvia Cheng's family to cause scenes and disrupt his stall. He also had bad luck. Once, he was robbed on his way home at night, broke his leg, and from then on, the city had another limping widower with a child. His business never took off, and he fell in with dubious company, picking up drinking and child abuse, turning into a mediocre middle-aged man. That was good. In my past life, he was born to educated parents. had our family's support when sent to the countryside, and I took care of everything after marriage. He never suffered much. I just wanted to show him that life can't always be smooth sailing. Later, I built my own career and grew stronger inside. I stopped worrying that Julian Joe might strike it rich overnight. The lottery? He had never bought lottery tickets or scratch cards, but I once bought one on my way home from grocery shopping and won 20 yuan. He sneered disdainfully. Those who dream of getting rich overnight often lack inner strength. Stocks and funds? Back then, he cared nothing for money or power, obsessed only with physics, and consumed by thoughts of Sylvia Chung. Naively focused on developing a time machine, he couldn't even manage basic finances, let alone track stock trends. Become a small business owner? Let me think about what he could do. Absolutely nothing. Apart from being a good student, he was utterly useless in my eyes. A chauvinist who couldn't even iron his own shirts or bother to pick up a fallen oil bottle. All he could do was stand at the gates of universities or research institutes, telling anyone who'd listen that he was a physics professor with multiple patents and numerous academic papers. Wouldn't people question discussing such things with a stranger? They just think he failed the college entrance exam and lost his mind. If I weren't already strong enough, I'd want to smash his brains out. I saw news about Sylvia Chung in the newspaper. With the help of her father's friend, she took the college entrance exam the following year and still studied abroad on a government scholarship, but didn't go to the same country as in her previous life, perhaps unwilling to accept her fate or trying to escape it. She ultimately died in an accident, still unable to avoid the destiny of her past life. In a way, Sylvia Chung possessed a remarkably strong inner world. She dared to love and hate more fiercely than I ever could. She could steal a man without batting an eye and leave with absolute resolve and cold indifference. She preferred a grand death over wasting away in a meaningless existence. If only I had come to my senses earlier, I wouldn't have muddled through such a worthless life. Many years later, after achieving academic success, I returned to the countryside to bring my parents to the city. Julian Joe somehow caught wind of it and came sniffing around. Looking at the man before me, I saw how much he had changed. He had aged noticeably. Even his carefully styled hair couldn't hide his sloppiness. Wearing a peeling leather jacket, he extended his hand with what he thought was charm. "Jenny, long time no see." He laughed and cried at the same time. "Jenny, I'm sorry about what happened back then. I was wrong. I heard you're still unmarried. Are you still holding onto feelings for?" I burst out laughing, perhaps with too much mockery in my laughter. "You should be able to understand, right? After all, Sylvia Chung was such a beautiful yet short-lived woman." I spoke slowly. "Julian Joe, I haven't forgotten you saying I occupied your life for years. If that's the case, wouldn't refusing to marry for your sake be degrading myself? Though I don't marry, I certainly don't lack male company." Julian Joe's expression shifted through a rainbow of emotions in that moment, as if everything from the past suddenly made sense. "So that's it. I knew I wasn't wrong in my suspicions. So you've been deliberately watching me make a fool of myself all along. Are you satisfied now that you see how poorly I'm doing? You must be quite pleased with yourself, going from a housewife to your current position." I interrupted her. "Then why don't you leave? Aren't you quite capable? Just take the time machine back again. It's not like I'd stop you." Julian Joe said awkwardly, "The time machine can only be used once." I smiled meaninglessly. "If you go back, give me a grand funeral, kowtow at my grave to apologize, and make a big show of it. Maybe then I'd forgive you." Julian Joe couldn't believe it. "Jenny, you know perfectly well the time machine is broken." "Exactly. So I won't forgive you." Julian Joe slumped to the ground, muttering, 40 years of effort wasted, and it all turned out to be a mistake in the end. I was utterly perplexed. "It seems everything in your eyes is wrong. So what exactly is true?" Before he could answer, I gave the answer myself. "It was when you looked down on me for being a housewife, and when Sylvia Chung wanted to soar high, but you clipped her wings in the name of love. Whenever people don't meet your expectations, you consider them wrong. Julian Joe, when will you stop being so self self-centered and selfish. Not all marriages are a mess. Yet both mine with you and Sylvia Chang's with you ended up in chaos. Clearly, the problem lies with you. So, spend the rest of your life reflecting on yourself.